we're in the right spot. We have a really good location here on the Guadalupe River. Perfect water, perfect holding live for trout. We've got right flies, right rig, right location, got everything, but it all comes down to drift. There's really three things that you have to look for in trout fishing. That's depth, drift, and flies. So here, an indicator system is really gonna help make that work in this case, but we're able to adjust that indicator depending on the depth of the water. Once we really dial that in, and we can talk more about that, but one of the things that we really have to make sure is that the drift is exactly what we're looking for, where it's drag free. And by drag free, it simply means that it's going to flow from here down the river without me really imparting any action to it. So first off, just making a short cast, that's plenty. And we're gonna fish essentially right under our rod tip. It's simply gonna float downstream. Notice my rod tip is slightly downstream of the indicator, floating along nice and naturally, and I'm watching that indicator like a hawk. If it twitches, bobs, moves, does that right there, I'm gonna set the hook. And in this case, you know, hook sets are free. You can make a lot of them, and that's totally okay. I've caught a lot of fish I thought were rocks, and I've caught a lot of rocks I thought were fish. But here I'm checking, see how that dragged right there? And if we'll look, when I set the hook on that, this is a perfect example. I caught a little twig off the bottom. That lets me know I'm set ever so slightly too deep. So all I'm gonna do is grab the indicator. This one's adjustable. I'm gonna slide it down just 2 or 3 inches. That's enough. Make a short cast back on the spot, hold my rod pretty much level with the water, and try to match the current speed heading down. By moving that indicator towards my fly, I've essentially made the rig a little shallower. Hopefully I won't make contact on the bottom this time. Following the drift through, making sure we see any abnormalities in that. Looks good. Drop the rod tip down to close the drift and make another cast. Maybe pick another spot, get a little bit closer to the current scene, walk it through, see if there's anything holding in faster water. Not all trout live in the same places. They like the same stuff, but they don't live in the same places. And so being able to kind of walk this through, there we go right there. Perfect fish, big fish too. That's exactly what we wanted. He wasn't over there in that slow stuff. He wanted a little bit faster water this time. So all we're doing is just basically gonna put as much pressure as we can on the fish and play this guy out quickly and as fast as we can. That's a big fish. I'm gonna put the wood to him a little bit. He's on the bigger fly, it looks like. Got a lot of spunk to him. Try to get him out of that current there, cutting my rod the other way. He's not having it. I'm gonna watch my way downstream here. It's a little dicey. The risky step. We're not quite to net yet, but we're close. It's a beautiful fish. Try to get him up out of that current right there. Try to stop that run. Doing as much as we can to kind of keep him there. As soon as I get a head up, that'll work. We can net the fish and call it a day. Keep that fish in the water as much as possible. Get you some line out to work with as we clear the flies. So if you have to move the fish to a better location to kind of get all your stuff in order, just simply move it over. Keep the fish wet the entire time. If you have the bank to set the rod down, great. If you need to put it somewhere on your vest or along your pack, that's also fine. Wet your hands. They may go a little crazy in the net. That's okay. This one's being fairly well behaved. And what I want to do is make sure that the fish stays under the water as much as possible. That one's being a little ornery. Come back here. Try to keep them under the water as much as possible. We're using barbless hooks here, which is great. But I try to kind of get these hooks out as best as I can without having to handle the fish if I can help it. That right there is perfect. The second fly is caught in the net, which is fine. Fish still stays in the water through the entire process. Flies are clear. Fish never came out of the water. It is no worse for wear. Move it into a little bit heavier current to let it kind of get some water flowing over its gills. All we're gonna do here Make sure its teeth aren't caught in the net. And if you want a photo of a fish this big, which I would encourage you to take one, this is a great photo right here, where the fish is still breathing, everything is good. You can take as much time as you need for your buddy to focus on the fish, or if you need to focus on the fish, this is great. If you're doing it single-handedly, you can literally, with a long-handled net, hold the net between your legs and move your phone or your camera around in front of the fish to take the picture. It's actually not all that complicated. Here, we'll simply move the net out of the way. Fish is ready to go. See you next time.